What's up, people? What's up? This is your boy Staff D, and I'm back with my partner.
MENACE-TREE,
That's
aka Travon.
right. And this is another Thinking Out Loud, Dangerous Minds podcast. And we glad
Absolutely.
that y'all tuned in last week, man. That was our first one, and we try to make this a weekly thing. So every Thursday we're gonna be trying to do this between 8:30 and probably 10:30, but sometimes we're going to be later depending on our work schedule and what we got going home as married men. But
Yes.
Trevon, man, how you been, partner?
I've been doing pretty good, man. Been just dealing with this crazy weather, man. This snow and ice and just winter putting this 10, size 15 boot on our on our neck.
At least you ain't been out in it, man. I've been out in work. That's all I've been doing all day, man, is shoveling that snow. And oh my God, man, I was just happy to get home today.
I feel you, man. I feel you. Just having to get out in and driving is enough for me.
Right.
Having to shovel out the driveway and it's one thing to shovel the driveway to get out the driveway. It's a whole other thing to shovel the driveway just so your wife can get in. I mean,
Put it like this, man. The last time we got this snow, my car was stuck because it's rear wheel drive, so it got stuck, and I didn't get it out until it snowed that Monday. I didn't get it out till Thursday.
What?
So my wife's car was in the snow, just getting started to warm up, but it was stuck for 4 days straight. But it ain't no good, man. Once it snows like this, that car is no good. It looks good, but it ain't no good.
Oh, it can't go nowhere. Huh?
Can't go nowhere. So I'll be in the Grand Prix, but that's in the shop. So we down to just that car until I get my car back. But it's been snowing so much, I haven't gotten a chance to get it back. Right. But anyway, that's our introduction. So let's get it in. Last week you asked me, so I'm gonna ask you. What you been watching? What you've been reading, and what you've been listening to.
Well, for me, what I've been watching Empire. I actually watched a little bit of this week's episode, which comes on Wednesdays, but I catch it on DVR. I gotta record that, just to keep up with it, because usually most Wednesday nights we have church, so I just DVR it. But when I got home tonight, I watched just probably about, I say maybe a good 20 minutes of it, and so yeah, been keeping up with that. Empire, Lucius Lyon, Cookie, Jamal, for all those who follow Empire, it's getting real crazy. It's getting real crazy, especially between the whole little triangle between Anika, Lucius, and Cookie. That's very interesting. But but then I've been watching Empire. I've been watching documentaries on Netflix. I watched a real interesting documentary. One on Whitey Bulger, the Irish mob boss from Boston, and basically it was a documentary that was being filmed during the time of his trial, and it was really interesting. Just basically seeing the reign of tyranny that he had over a lot of people in the Boston area, and just how the effect it had on a lot of the community and stuff. And so that was really interesting. Also watched a documentary on hip hop, and that was good. I can't. Sorry, I can't think of the name of it at the time at this current moment. But it was a hip hop documentary. It was filmed back in the '90s. I mean, because they got a young Lauryn Hill and Wyclef and Pras. I mean, when they were the Fugees, at the beginning of their rise to notoriety. But yeah, documentaries, Empire, Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder. Those are some of my regular shows. Just got caught up on Mad Men, the first half of the 7th season. Ready for the last half of season 7, which starts April 5th. Eagerly awaiting that for all the Mad Men fans out there. I know y'all are waiting that too. But that's pretty much what I've been watching, man. Just my little current shows and documentaries and stuff like that. I'm really interested. I really like documentaries. But as far as what was the next one? So watching.
Yeah, what have you been watching? What have you been listening to as far as music, reading?
Okay, so what I've been listening to. Mostly I've been listening to a lot of Pandora. So I tend to listen to a mixture. Like I said last week, I'm really into EDM or electronic dance music. I'm into that and dubstep. I just like the creativity of it. So I've been really listening to quite a bit of that. But then, also listening to I got a few Christian hip hop stations on Pandora. I got like a Jason station, a Lecrae station, Tadashi station, so I be on those a lot. Let's see, as far as artists in particular that I've been listening to, man, I would say I've been listening to The Truth's Hope, Love, War album. Mm-hmm. I've been listening to that quite a bit. That's what I got in the CD player. Been listening to Flames, Royal Flush. I love that album. That's a beast. That's a beast of an album, man. Let's see. I think that's really it. I mean, now I had previewed Mike Real. Mike Real's newest album, but I haven't got it. I haven't got it. So I've sampled it, but it's some delicious hotness from what I sampled. But on to what I've been reading. Still reading John Piper's Think. Also, I got a new book in the mail this week from a good friend of mine, Trenton Cruz, good friend of both of ours, mine staffs. He used to live here in the area, but now he's moved out to Tennessee, and he's actually going to college, Bible college, and so he's doing his thing out there. But he sent me a book yesterday called The Circle Makers, and basically it's talking about leadership and those influencers, those who influence others and are called into leadership. And so from what I've looked at, it looks like a very interesting read. I'm excited about it, and that's pretty much all I've been reading. Like I said, John Piper's Think. I still read the Bivocational Pastor. And also interested in reading Mark Batterson's Circle Makers. So that's pretty much what I've been up on. How about you, Staff?
As far as watching, yesterday I sat down and watched the documentary on Kobe Bryant.
Hey, that's the boy. Lakers.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I respect Kobe as a basketball player and his skill set. I respect that, but I was never really a big person on Kobe Bryant. But after watching this documentary and they gave a synopsis from his 18-year-old start to where he is now with his injuries, and he was commentating. He was the one doing all the talking and kind of breaking down his emotional state from being over in other countries with his father, because his father was a professional basketball player, and he went and he joined a few foreign teams after his 7-8 year stint in the NBA. Okay. He went overseas, so Kobe was kind of breaking down how he was kind of ripped from norm and placed in a situation that he had to adapt to, not knowing the languages, not knowing the cultures, and that barrier that was between him and the people he was around. He was over there for several years, and when he came back to the States, it was like a reset. He was having to relearn the lingo and the slang and the culture here, and he said he was very angry, and it kind of developed his personality. You know, Kobe Bryant is very inward, and he introverted, and he's very driven, and he ain't a people's person per se. So he was just breaking all that down, and you got to see him win his championships and him kind of dialogue on and express how all the situations that he went through. And I'm not gonna lie, after watching it, it was on the HBO. It was on, I think, either HBO Showtime. But after watching that documentary, it was because he didn't want to write a book. He said everybody writes books. He wanted to talk because he don't feel like he has the patience to sit and articulate a book. But so he said he wanted to put it in film, and you can see his emotions and his expressions and feel him and vibe with him beyond words. And I'm not gonna lie, I gained a lot of respect for him in a way that man, sit down, man. Shirt.
That's
anyway,
the boy, man. The boy.
You know, when they do one on LeBron, then we can have that conversation. Anyway, so I was really
much respect to LeBron. I got respect for LeBron.
Yeah. So anyway, it was interesting, man. I'm not gonna lie. Kobe is a fierce competitor. That's what I got out of Kobe. Has a drive. I think the only person to ever play the game that could overcome that or outdo that would probably be Jordan himself. He rivals Jordan's competitive nature.
It's funny you say that, Steph, man. I seen a video yesterday, actually, where somebody put like a whole bunch of clips of Jordan's ball playing.
Oh, yeah, I seen that.
With Kobe's.
Yeah,
and it was almost identical.
They mirror each other. Like he said his biggest influences were Magic Johnson, and of course Michael Jordan. So
his game, like so many of his shots were basically identical.
Yeah, they was mirror
identical. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, but that's who he idolized, you know. So he was the pinnacle at the time, and that's who everybody was kind of emulating, and mimicking. So anyway, I watched that. I watched the Nas documentary.
Oh, that was dope.
And dude, you talking about, now I was a Jay-Z dude. Not gonna lie, I was a Jay-Z dude. But after watching that Nas documentary, Illmatic, man, I was sitting back like, you know what? You gain so much perspective and so much insight for actually being schooled on
their world.
This dude came from and his whole makeup.
Yeah, man.
I was like, this dude, and his lyrical direction and his wittiness and his creativity. I mean, I always knew Nas was dope, but after watching it, I was like, yeah, Nas is dope. So anyway, I watched that. I just bought Lucy, the movie about the girl.
Oh, I want to see
that. What's her name? She played in Avengers. I can't think of her name right now. It's I can't think of it now. Anyway, it don't matter.
I forget.
Scarlett something.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett. Anyway, I got that. I'm about to watch that. I was gonna watch it tonight. Yeah, I will.
Yeah,
you know, I gotta get that other one back from you. When I get that, I can give you this one. So I'm about to watch that, and so that as far as reading, I picked up a book. And let me clarify something, because I said this last week, and I got some people who came in because they didn't get what I was saying. I'm not much of a reader. I like to listen. I like people talking and stuff like that. I love to listen to things, and while I'm doing stuff, I'm listening to podcasts. Like I put you on to Comeback Jack, and you was telling me how you really appreciate it. But I learned a lot from just listening, allowing my thoughts to drift and to go out. And so anyway, but I've been reading a book on Enoch, the one who walked with God and was no more. Enoch. Yeah. I've been reading a book on him and how he was one of the prophets. He was considered a prophet, and a very influential person in Scripture. So it's supposed to be like the lost book of Enoch. I don't know how legit it is, but I ran across it. I've been having it for a while, and I was like, man, let me read some of this, and started reading it. And I also been reading something you had been asking me to read for a minute. I started kind of reading it, was Purpose Driven Life. Okay. Also, but them two books I've been reading, and I read this study, and I was telling it to you earlier about it was done by UCLA, and it was really interesting about the psychological makeup of police officers, and especially of a Caucasian descent. And this was done by UCLA. It wasn't a study done by black folks. It was done by just scientists and they at their school. So it was real interesting. I ain't gonna go into it in this, but I did that. So that's what I've been reading and a few other things. But last week, man, I preached a message called "It's by Design," and I was, I need to be, next time we'll talk about that, man. It was some interesting stuff. But anyway, but listening, dude.
Schoolers, man.
Look, man.
Schoolers.
I've been listening to that Mind of Hollis, dude. Bought it yesterday. Mike Real. Dude, you know what? I put it on Facebook. It's like, man, is this the same dude? And it's gonna deal with a topic we're gonna bring up later.
I saw your post, man. Yeah, I saw that post.
Right. Is this the same dude that we met back in 06? Like,
nah, it's a new dude, man.
So anyway, I've been listening to that, and shouts out to Steve T and Clear Sight. It's a perfect introduction to the masses. We already know Mike, but it's a perfect introduction to the masses to him. The name is befitting, and the context, the lyrical presentation, the delivery, the beats, everything was good. I mean, I ain't gonna say it was the greatest thing ever, but it's been the best thing I've heard in Christian hip hop in the last 3-4 years. One of the best.
That's big, man. That's
I say that legitly. He really came out aggressive. He really had a direction, and he really had a thought that he wanted to really penetrate into your psyche. He was really trying to get you to see where he was coming from, and he did a good job of illustrating his mind and where he, the mind of Hollis and where he's at and how he's thinking. It was great. So that and what else have I listened to? I've been, and this goes into a question that's gonna go later, so I say that, but I'll stop right there. That's what I've been listening to for right now. So anyway, let's get into this first topic, man. It was something that you asked me, so I'm gonna let you set it up.
Basically, what the question that I posed a question earlier to staff off the air. The question was: Is the church just simply a microcosm of American culture when it relates to race relations in America? And when I say microcosm, I mean basically, is the church just a small scale example of American society, and how we relate to each other, relate to different ethnic groups. Basically, what I'm saying is
does it have the same patterns?
Yeah, is a church taking its cues from the scriptures on how to go about dealing with racial diversity and ethnicity, or are we just taking our cues from American culture at large? Well, what we see the majority and the masses do.
Okay.
So that was my basic question that I posed to staff.
Kind of lined up the scripture that you presented to me, Colossians and Ephesians. You came out of Ephesians 2 verse 11 through 20 through the end, but 14 was the actual verse you was wanting to get to, and then it was Colossians. What was it?
Colossians 3 and 11.
Yeah, Greek nor Gentiles, circumcision, nor circumcision, all that. So, kind of go into that, and then I guess we can talk about it.
Yeah, quickly, I'll read the verse here real quickly, just kind of give you a little, I guess, context as far as my basis as what my basis in scripture as to why I would ask this question. It says, this is Ephesians chapter 2. I'm reading out of the New Living Translation. It says, this is starting at verse 11, chapter 2. It says, don't forget that you Gentiles used to be outsiders. And Gentiles, for those who don't know, Gentiles basically was a word used by the Jews in ancient Israel that pretty much meant non-Jew. The Gentile was anybody from a Greek, Roman, Italian, Sicilians, African, anybody who was not a Jew was a Gentile. And so when you hear me read that word, that's all it means. It says, don't forget that you Gentiles used to be outsiders. You were called uncircumcised heathens by the Jews, who were proud of their circumcision, even though it affected only their bodies and not their hearts. In those days, you were living apart from Christ. You were excluded from the citizenship among the people of Israel, and you did not know the covenant promises God had made to them. You lived in this world without God and without hope. But now you have been united with Christ Jesus. Once you were far away from God, but now you have been brought near to him through the blood of Christ. For Christ himself has brought peace to us. He united Jews and Gentiles into one people when in his own body on the cross, he broke down the wall of hostility that separated us. He did this by ending the system of law with its commandments and regulations. He made peace between Jews and Gentiles by creating in himself one new people from the two groups. Together as one body, Christ reconciled both groups to God by means of his death on the cross, and our hostility toward each other was put to death. And I just end it right there. There's a couple more verses, but I just end it right there because that really pretty much deals with the heart of kind of where I'm coming from. And quickly, not Ephesians, but Colossians, chapter 3, verse 11. And I'll go to it real quick. And it simply states, in this new life, it doesn't matter if you are a Jew or a Gentile, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbaric, uncivilized, slave or free. Christ is all that matters, and he lives in all of us. So basically, I wanted to use those two scriptures as a basis for kind of showing what the Bible has to say about race relations, and then using these scriptures and then looking at what we may see as far as ways and attitudes that we may see within the church, whether it's black church, white church, just the church at large, just Christianity, American Christianity in particular at large. What kind of sparked this? I saw a video a couple of days ago on Facebook of a white pastor who was preaching to his congregation, I didn't get a chance to see anybody in this congregation, but I take it from the response that he was getting from his sermon that it was predominantly white. But anyway, basically, this pastor went on to mention in his sermon how he would never marry if a member of his church, a white female member of his church, approached him and asked him to marry her, and she had a black fiance, that he would not do it. He would refuse. And vice versa with a white male. If he came and wanted to marry a black sister, this was the pastor's words. If he wanted to marry a black sister, he would refuse, and he wouldn't do it. And he said he wouldn't care if they
acknowledge it. He wouldn't even reference it as a sanctioned marriage.
Yeah,
I seen the video.
Yeah, he wouldn't care even if they left the church. He felt like that was just a necessary loss. And he was using scripture. Yes, he was
to strengthen his view. Yes. And his take on scripture, and really his truth is his prejudice, and trying to use his own prejudice with the use of scripture to strengthen his prejudice. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes. He was strengthening his own prejudice with the scripture, and trying to say it was sound.
Yes, as many people do.
Right. Well, I was just.
Yeah.
So anyway, go ahead. My bad.
No, I was just basically, my reason for the question was basically just for us to, look at the issue of race relations in America, and look at how specifically how the church deals with it, or how the church approaches it or handles it. Because in my honest opinion, I feel like the church, in many cases, we don't deal with it. We don't approach it. This is black church and white church. We file into our little comfortable cultural enclaves, and where we are comfortable, because everybody looks like us. Everybody pretty much listens to pretty much the same style of music we listen to. They dress similar to us. They, have watched the same type of shows and have the same political views and things of that nature. And so it's comfortable, and we good with that. You know what I'm saying? And so and even Martin Luther King made the statement about the most segregated day of the week was Sunday. And it still holds true to this day. But I guess my whole reason for bringing it up is in light of events like Ferguson with Mike Brown, Eric Garner, and a slew of other events. Martin. But yeah, Trayvon Martin
and the young.
These are just recent events. We can go back as far.
Yeah, even Trayvon is kind of it's not too old, but I just
I would still say it's recent. We can go back as far as the civil rights and stuff, but just especially with Mike Brown, because Mike Brown really
he sparked it.
It was like somebody threw a powder keg or something that was ready to detonate or ready to go off into like a dynamite factory or something. Because the Mike Brown's death had explosive ramifications for our country as far as it relates to race and how we our views on race and where our prejudices and biases lie. You really saw how divided we are on race as a country with Mike Brown. I don't think I've seen it that explicitly since the O.J. Simpson trial. In my honest opinion, I caught glimpses of it with the Trayvon Martin case, but I mean to such a wide degree. I mean, where it was just almost like every day, you know. I mean, because to where I really begin to see, like, of course, I mean, I expected to see the black frustration, you know, towards, you know, what happened with Mike Brown, but just how explicit and how open frustration was from my Caucasian brothers, but how that frustration was totally different than the frustration I might have had.
Well, let me jump in on it.
Yeah, go ahead, Stan. Go ahead.
Cause we had a breakfast thing at our church, a morning breakfast where we had a diverse group there. It was, you know, and the pastor name is Pastor Kim. I can't think of his last name right now, but anyway, he's from California, and he took over a local congregation here in Cape. And the congregation, you know, of course, is a Caucasian, you know, predominantly white congregation, and they, like many black churches and many white churches here in Cape Girardeau and in Missouri, are segregated. They, you know, you white, you go to white churches, you black, you go to black churches for the most part. And you have a few that do have a diverse congregation. But coming from California, he, being a white pastor, dealt with primarily black churches. So in California, he's used to diversity. He's used to a black dialogue and a black point of view and black issues being white. So he's not opposed to it. He's not foreign to it. It's norm to him. So coming to Cape, the culture of Cape Girardeau is abnormal to him. He was telling me how he doesn't understand the divide here. He doesn't understand how we're not cohesive. We're not one. We're not unified, because where he come from, that's the norm. So
that's the good old middle America that he just got.
Yeah, so to go back to what you were stating, I don't think it's a mass issue, but it's not everywhere. Like in California, I think he said he's from San Francisco, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like that. Was it San Francisco or Long Beach? One or two, but they're not like that. They're very you know what I'm saying, liberal, and they deal with each other more so than a Republican Missouri. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't saying Republican, but our ideas, we still have that constant battle and tug of war, you know, discrimination and prejudice and all these different mindsets trying to deal with each other, sometimes fairly, sometimes not. That struggle is more apparent here than it would be somewhere like California or New York, where you got so many different races and groups of people coming in. Like New York being a mecca, they you ain't got time to be holding all these prejudices when you got Asians, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, you know what I'm saying?
Actually, Snap, racism is actually there's a lot of attention in New York.
It is, but
because of all the diversity there.
Yeah,
but I get what you're saying. Though.
I mean, it's like that in Cali too, but it's a different approach to it.
Yeah.
Whereas, you're gonna have, you know, I'm black, I'm Dominican, I'm Jamaican, I'm whatever, and I stick with my kind. But at the same time, you got so many in this pot. You still got to deal, and you still got to learn, operate with all these different cultures, even though, you're going to have your biases. But to go back to your question, how you started off, do we reflect as a church, do we reflect what the Bible teaches us to be, almost selfless, and our culture would be the kingdom of God. You know what I'm saying? Our makeup, our understanding will be, like he said, we're neither Jew nor Gentile, male nor female, in spirit and all that stuff. No, we don't reflect that.
Yeah.
And for the most part, we're being engrafted into that understanding. There's a lot of stuff that Stafford Moore of 22 has learned now that I'm 35. You know what I'm saying? And I can deal with my Caucasian or any group of people with a better understanding than back then. My prism back then was limited, where I'm more understanding and I'm more broad in my knowledge, and I'm more secure in myself, to where even if a person is discriminating against me or is treating me wrong based on race, I'm not as moved or offended or provoked to anger as I would back then. Like I was talking to a buddy, a new guy at work today, and we were talking about racial slurs and different things like that, and he was like, and he said, if a person called me the N-word, a nigga, I would laugh. And I found it funny that he said it, because I was like, you thinking like me. It would be funny to me now, because like, this dude just called me a nigga. You know what I'm saying? But it wouldn't move me to want to go upside his head. It'd make me laugh, because you still exist.
Yeah.
They still make people like you. But if he was calling me and said I'm nothing and cussing me out and trying to provoke me on that level, I'd probably be moved to anger faster than him thinking something that's calling me the N-word would cause me to lose my cool. I would just look at you a nigga. That's how I would approach it. Like, oh, I'm a nigga. Well, you one too. So and that'll make them just as angry, because I'm not black. Well, do you really know what nigga mean? Nigger me? Go look it up. You'll understand what it means. So you pertaining to that, but you could be one too. So no, we don't. I think we are growing to that, but no, we looking through many different prisms, man, and some of us are stuck.
Yeah.
And the church, I would say, as individuals, I think individual churches do. Yeah. But as a church as a whole, no, we don't. We don't deal with it. We sweep it under the rug. Because we do have some interaction between the groups, we try to use that as justification to say that we have come to a new place. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. And actuality, when certain conversations spark up, like Mike Brown, that exposes the true heart and the true perspective and psychological makeup of a person. Because I had this conversation. I actually was interviewed by the newspaper for this, and they was talking about how did they asked me how did I feel and how did I think Mike Brown's situation was impacting Cape Girardeau as a minister. And I was like, honestly, I don't know, because even though I am a black man, I'm not in St. Louis, I'm not in Ferguson. I didn't know Mike Brown personally, but as a black man, it angers me that a young man can get shot down in the street like that. But how my community is being affected by it, I couldn't speak. Now I said, now of course Ferguson, that's one of their own. That's one of their child. That's a product of their community. Yeah. And it's affecting them. Even only connection I got is being a black man and the plight of black men and the struggle of black men. That part I'm angered. That part I'm disturbed. That part I'm a little concerned about and fearful when I interact with police officers. But what Ferguson felt, I didn't know how to relate to it. Mm-hmm. And but I was like, he asked me, you know, he asked me a question about our Caucasian brothers and how they're feeling. And I said, I feel like in many ways, I saw a difference between the Trayvon Martin situation with Mike Brown. There was majority who found the situation with Mike Brown deplorable. I was in Applebee's, and me and my wife and my children were sitting there, we was eating, and they had the verdict, you know, when they wasn't going to indict the young man who shot Mike Brown. It was red. And we were the only black people in Applebee's. Well, no other black people. And, you know, they got all the TVs on this judgment, this dude talking to how they're not going to prosecute him and all these different things. And it was a white man that said, this is a bunch of nonsense. This is crazy. He got livid. This is foolish. They shot that man 8 times. They shot him 8 times with no gun. How do you not prosecute that police officer? This was a white man saying it.
Yeah.
And this whole table was like, that makes no sense to me. So I believe that in true essence, we got to look at individual, because I think in a larger picture, they saw the injustice in what happened with Mike Brown.
You should work at my job. Is that what,
no, I'm not saying wait a minute.
Responds at my job. Boy.
No, I'm saying not all of them, but a lot of them.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Though.
Even with the Trayvon Martin situation, a lot of white society saw the wrong in that. Now you have a lot that only look through a prism of a black man is, you know, say always on something, you know.
Yeah.
But for the
just
most
can't
part,
trust them, buddy.
Yeah. But for a large majority of them, Trev, that I ran across, could not believe that Zimmerman got off for that Trayvon Martin. They couldn't believe that police officer got away with shooting their child down in the middle of the street, no gun. And it goes back to what I was saying I had read, but I ain't gonna deal with that on this, so that'd take too long. But anyway, the psychological makeup of a lot of our Caucasian police officers are, UCLA did a study, and it proved that they dehumanize young black males subconsciously. They don't know that they're doing it. It ain't. In some ways, it's purposeful. In some ways, they don't even know that they're doing it. It's a trained thing that they do in their subconscious. They don't know that they're doing it, but they dehumanize. Like when they shot that young man that was playing with a toy gun, a young boy, 12-year-old, the police officer,
In Cleveland.
You know his name? In Cleveland. Say it again.
In Cleveland, Ohio. I don't remember his name offhand, but yeah.
Yeah, well, when the police wrote the report, now this was rookie police, he said he thought that the boy was a grown man. Now you can clearly look at the video and see that boy wasn't grown, by no means. But the prism, the mindset, the psyche of the cop, all he saw was a black man with a gun. He didn't even get out the car good. And he had already shot the boy twice. Soon as the door flew open, he was shooting through the window. And then he got out and shot him dead, but he said it was the boy's fault. He blamed the police department, and they got in trouble for this. They blamed it on the child, not the police not going through proper protocol to neutralize the situation. Yeah. He saw a black person with a gun, and he just shot him and the study showed, because they dehumanize young black men. So it's a problem, and the church is dealing with this problem, because these same police officers, these same women and men, black or white or otherwise, claim to be Christians. And I'm not gonna say, okay, we've been talking about our white brothers. Our black brothers do the same thing. You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
we don't treat the ones who ain't. Everything ain't always racist. You know what I'm saying? But we always want to pull the race card and make that the reason why we're not getting ahead. In some ways, no, in some ways that's true in some senses, but not in every sense. And you can't use that as a reason why you can't come up. So and then you got that group that's claiming to be Christians and believers, and so yeah, the church has not dealt with this glaring issue. The rug is, literally climbable now.
Yeah,
we can literally climb up this rug now that we have swept so much under. No, to answer your question, we haven't dealt with it, and because to deal with it is to deal with self.
Yeah,
we got to examine self, and you got to be honest with self and say, I do hold biases, and why do I hold biases? Well, my family hold these biases, or I had an incident, because this stuff starts somewhere. You don't just pick this up on your own. You learn some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. Are you good? Are you good? I was just gonna say, because that all that scripture I read in Ephesians 2, for the listeners, my whole purpose of reading it wasn't to like preach a sermon or nothing. It was just basically to show you, from what the Bible is saying. I believe God's view, or God's design for humanity is.
I'm glad you said that.
is racial harmony, and and not that we're supposed to be culturally ambiguous, that nobody's culture has differences. No, we bring all of our differences, that's the thing. That God makes us diverse, He makes us different, but that the thing is, in that diversity there's beauty, and that there can be unity in the midst of racial diversity. And but I think so often that we because of the tension, and like you were saying, Staff, because of experiences and the prejudices that have been ingrained in us from how we were raised, and past incidents that we experienced in our young years. I know I've had experiences of my own. Staff, I know you've had some yourself. We tend to have our own viewpoints, and we take that with us. And what happens is those bad experiences and those not so good upbringings tend to inform our take on race relations, instead of Scripture informing how we go about with race relations and how we interact with people. And we feel like just as long as we cordial and we can get along, we can work together, we can joke together and everything, that's cool. But it kind of goes back to a question that Samuel L. Jackson asked Matthew McConaughey in the movie A Time to Kill. Mm-hmm. And I was actually asked this question. This was brought to me by a white friend of mine, but Samuel Jackson asked Matthew McConaughey, because Matthew McConaughey said, basically he said something to the effect of, I would like to think that we're friends. He's like, and Samuel Jackson's like, friends? Basically, he was like, how are we friends? Like when's the last time you came to my house? You and your family, had dinner with me, and basically, we're not friends. We may associate with each other. Mm-hmm. We may know each other because, basically, in their case, Matthew was his lawyer. He was defending him. That didn't make him his friend. He was his client, and so the thing is, we may work together. We may have a great professional relationship, a great work relationship, and get along well, and even maybe even care about each other to a degree. But that still don't make us friends. That still don't mean that we in the trenches with each other, that we that that we know each other's wants, desires, fears, and hopes, dreams, and that we're meshed in each other's lives. Like I believe that we should, we actually should be, that we, that we should be involved in people, in the lives of people who are not so much like us culturally and things like that. So I mean, it's something that I thought was a relevant,
It is a relevant question, because what you said, well, the reason I smiled is because the message I delivered this past Sunday, was titled "It's by Design," and what I was dealing with was, because the theme of the weekend and all the events we had was Psalms 133 verse 1, how it says how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together, in unity.
Yeah.
And I was asked to preach the main message, and my topic was is by design, and how God designed us with union in mind.
Yeah.
The very first when God first thought of man, he didn't think of the male only. He thought of female. You have a lot of preachers who run with God made man, and out of man, like woman was a second thought.
Mm-hmm.
No, woman was always in the equation of man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was just God wanted the male or man, because it says, they always say this, it's not good that man, as if God was only single out the male. It's not good that the male be alone. No, it's not good that man, male or female, be alone.
Yeah.
And what he was doing was to show Adam, the male man, understand union. He brought the animals before him, and all he saw was union. Everything he kept seeing was union. He saw two, male and female, and then he saw it within himself. I have no one to unify with. I have no one to come together with. And God laid him down and created woman. He said, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. For this cause shall man leave mother and father and cleave to his wife. And then out of union of man and woman, you got family. And out of family, you got community. Now,
yes,
it was always in God's plan for the creation of mankind to be unified. Then the ultimate, and I went here with the ultimate example of unity was the cross. Because we were not designed to be separate from God the Father.
Absolutely.
Who created us. So Christ came to unify man and reconcile man back with the Father.
Yes.
And he lived the perfect life. And who did he also reconcile? He engrafted the Gentile.
Yes.
So he was showing us, why you have all these separate, isolated cliques, we are one body, many members, one body. He had to tell his own, I have many sheep that are not of this fold,
Right.
And because even the 12 got caught up in thinking they were special,
Yes.
So union was always God's idea, and somewhere man, through the influences of an enemy that don't like us, who caused the first division that is recorded, Satan himself is the first person who divided anything.
I'm glad you brought that up.
So
that brings another good point.
Yeah, so of course him dividing the heavenly host up there, he came here and first divided Adam and Eve from their creator. Now, so Christ had to come and reconcile us back. Now we're starting to understand the full gravity of our creation, our purpose, but we got all these prisms, all these disagreements, all these biases and prejudice that cause us not to do what God gets joy from, is unified.
Yeah.
And so it's a very relevant question you asked, because it's something the church definitely needs to entertain and conversate about, because we got it, especially in America. It's something that the America don't want to talk about.
Yeah, the church should be the ones pushing against prejudice, pushing against division between the race, the different races. And you made a very valid and very true statement about how there are churches out there, and I definitely want to give credit. There are churches out there, even in Middle America, that are where you do have multicultural churches.
That's breaking down that wall that
are
talking about.
Yes, that are breaking down that wall that's in Ephesians that Ephesians talks about. There's one in Memphis by the name of Memphis Fellowship, and the Pastor Brian Loritz. That church is, I believe, 60% white and 40% black. And they have a black lead pastor, but 60% of his congregation is white, I believe. The demographic may be flip-flop, but I believe that it's 60% white, 40% black. But it's a mixed congregation, and you have many different races and cultures that go to this church. That's just one of many different churches like this, and I'm grateful to see God, tearing down the wall in churches like Memphis Fellowship. And also, you hit on something. You brought out an awesome point. Now you talked about how the enemy that basically started all this, Satan, that basically, came to separate us from God the Father. And by us being separated from God the Father, that division between humanity and God also created division between
man and man. Right.
And so it goes back to a saying I heard, that racism or prejudice or bias, racial bias, whatever you want to call it, which I do believe racism and prejudice are different, but all of it, it's more so, it's not so much a skin problem as it is a sin problem. I'm not sure if you ever heard that phrase. The reason, basically, what it's saying is that racism, prejudice, it all flows from hatred. Hatred is a byproduct of sin, and when I'm led to hate a person because of the color of their skin, or maybe not hate them, but just think that I'm better than them, or think that I'm superior to them. It may not even be race. It may be class or status, or my station in life. But but as it relates to race, it's a sin issue. It's an issue of sin, and that's what I think the church, and especially in the instance of this white pastor that talked about how he wouldn't marry, any whites with black brothers or sisters. He doesn't realize that racial division was never God's intent, and the scriptures that he would use to support his flawed view. When God commanded Israel to not associate with certain nations, it was never on the basis of race that God asked them to do this. It was always on the basis of it was always because of theological ramifications. He did not want Israel being put in a place where they would compromise their walk with him.
Right.
And so it was.
You said that.
Yeah, but the KKK, white Christian America in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and on back, they believed that Scripture promoted racial division.
Yeah.
And they use scriptures, like that, where God told them, not to intermingle. Don't intermingle with the Midianites, or don't intermingle with the Ammonites, or make no covenants with the Moabites. But you have to realize that first off, you get technical. The Moabites were distant cousins of Israel.
Right.
So were the Ammonites.
Right.
So, it wasn't a race thing so much. It had
was a bloodline thing. It was about the group that God was going to bring salvation through.
Yeah,
and he was trying to protect, because that's what Satan was trying to disrupt.
Yeah, because they were so easily get swayed.
Right, and
from their devotion to God, and so God was trying to. He wanted Israel to be a light and an example,
right,
of God's glory and God's greatness to all the other nations.
Right.
And so that he could, through Israel, draw the nations to him. And it wasn't to make Israel.
And that's what I was just going to say. That's what I was just going to say.
It wasn't to show that Israel was a superior race, because actually Israel was the smallest nation in existence. And so what God was trying to do, he was trying to show humanity, look, I'm taking the least of the least, and I want to use them to display my glory, not theirs, but my glory, to draw all the nations to myself. And and so God wanted to draw, first off, God wants to draw all the nations and all people groups to himself. And then by us being all drawn to himself, that we're all together as one big family. That's what Ephesians 2 is really getting at, is that God's desire is to tear down the wall of hostility, so that we can realize that we all are his children. We all are one family, and we got to realize there's really truly there's only one race. That's the human race.
Right.
There's different ethnicities, but we're all people.
Right.
I mean, but racial prejudice is deeply, deeply ingrained in the fabric of humanity, especially in America.
America, because it's a part of the foundation of America.
Yeah. It's deeply it's deep seated in
America deals with it. The main reason America deals with it so much is because America doesn't deal with what they've done to other groups of people. I know
it's bloody past.
It's bloody past, and if you don't deal with those skeletons of the past, those ghosts come back to torment you. They have yet to really deal with what we always talk about what happened to the Jews and Hitler and Holocaust. We talk and we should. But
Absolutely.
Let's not forget to talk about the Trail of Tears and the Native Americans. Let's not forget to talk about the stripping of people from their heritage, their history, the legacies. Like, this is a conversation that I've had with you and several other people. I only can trace my race back to slavery. Once I get to slavery, I know I'm from Africa, but what part? Am I Kenyan? Am I this? You know what I'm saying? So we are
Ethiopian, or you
what am I? So
exactly.
that is a damaging thing, because we are the only group that has that testimony or that that statement. Everyone can trace, man, I'm from, I'm from Europe, or I'm from Germany, or I'm from Pakistan, or I'm of this group. We can't say that. We are products of slavery, and that's not who we are. That's just a season in our history.
Yeah.
But because everything was wiped out, and we were so mixed and mingled. So it's a lot that the history of America doesn't want to deal with, and until we deal with it, racism and prejudice, and really what you said, just the hate, sin, a hateful nature of sin, or a hatred being by the product of sin, is always going to be prevalent in our culture, and you can't overcome something you won't even acknowledge and deal with. So
absolutely.
But anyway, that was a good topic, man. That was a real good topic. There's so much more I want to say on that, man, but I know we've been on it for a while, man.
Yeah.
It was something you said, and I was going to say something, but it kind of left my thoughts, so I guess it's meant to move on. But that is a prevalent issue, man.
Yeah.
It affects us all, and the outside world, America being the example, being the pinnacle, the outside world is looking on.
Yeah.
And in some ways, we shape the prisms of the world, you know. And culturally, our culture is defining
the biggest influencer.
Yeah,
we're the biggest influencer. Yeah.
So America got to get his act together. We got to get our act together. Let's put it like that.
Right.
So let's move on, man. All right. So that was a good start. That's what we do on Thinking Out Loud, Dangerous Minds. We ain't scared to go there, people. We're not scared to go there. Anyway, so this is my topic. You know, I wanted to kind of deviate from some of the subject matter of the last podcast, but we started off kind of where we left off. So I wanted to go down a different path, something that we are very invested in, which is Christian hip hop, CHH. And we'll end the podcast on this note. I think we've been going for about 45 minutes, so we'll stay on this topic for a few minutes, then we'll get out of here. That cool?
Yeah.
I was thinking, and the topic I want to talk to you about, start with you right now, is it's going to have 3 parts, but the main theme is, what is your feelings of the current state of Christian hip hop? Now we could talk about hip hop, just the overall what it is, but I want to talk about our corner of hip hop.
Yeah.
Meaning the Christian.
Our subculture, our Christian subculture of hip hop.
Right. That's a better way to term it. I just gonna use corner just to be simple, but you put a good.
I mean that works though too.
Yeah. So, what is just for about 5 minutes? Illustrate your feelings on the current state of Christian hip hop.
Man, it's kind of hard for me to say because I ain't been as plugged into it as much as I feel like I need to be.
Well, stop right there. And you right where I want to be. But go ahead. I just want people. I want people to say that again. Say what you said. You're not as plugged in.
I'm not as plugged into the Christian hip hop scene
as you used to.
I used to be.
Why?
One reason is just laziness, to be honest. But also, I don't know, man. For one thing, I realized that that's not the only scene I got to be plugged into.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I can plug into culture at large. I can plug into, I can peer in and see what's going on with the J. Coles and the Kendricks and peer in and see what's going on with the Janae Aikos and, the Chris Browns, or what's going on with, I don't know, just what's going on with the jazz culture or, R&B, rock, you know what I'm saying, Coldplay. But one thing about Christian hip hop, as far as dealing with the state of Christian hip hop, where I maybe feel where Christian hip hop is, it's in a real interesting place. I won't say it's in a bad place.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it's actually in a very it's in a promising place of growth. It's in a place of expansion. The genre has expanded to the point to where now not only has Christian hip hop, and I know there's, and this is gonna get into another part of this conversation. I know just that term alone probably is got certain folks clawing the walls and stuff, and I don't mean to offend.
This is just a start. We just starting at this point, but we get to that.
But I believe that first off, Christian hip hop is finally gotten the ear of the mainstream Christian subculture first, to where it was like, oh, okay, hey, this got a decent follow. Like, folks is actually really listening for this. So to where we actually started, where churches started inviting us and wanting us to come to their churches and wanting to do shows. Then also where record labels were starting to pay attention to Christian hip hop artists and actually wanted to put money behind it. So there was growth in just the Christian, context. The Christian community began to pay attention to to rappers who are Christian, and so there's been tremendous growth in that respect. But now Christian hip hop now it's grown to the point to where now even mainstream culture is been opening up to it and paying attention to it and been checking it out somewhat. So I think it's awesome in that sense, to where now we have a big, Christian hip hop has a bigger platform, and the acceptance of it is much more widespread. In that respect, I think the state of Christian hip hop is at a beautiful place. But much like all culture and all of humanity, there's beauty and there's brokenness. Christian hip hop, there's a lot of brokenness in it as well. You got different factions and things of that nature and stuff like that. Different camps and teams and different divisions and stuff like that. But for the most part, I think the state of Christian hip hop is in a good place. But I think it's important that we I think how we navigate at this particular time in the game, I think is important. How each of us navigate through it, whether you wear the name tag or you don't wear the name tag. You know what I'm saying? And it's not bad not to wear it. It's not bad to wear it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But like I said, that's
later. That's later.
Yeah, that's later.
Let me jump in.
Take us further, Captain.
I'm gonna take what you said because I agree. We have expanded. We have grown. If you look back, especially where me and you started coming from.
Oh man.
Let's just be real. That's why I want to go here, because I remember my Uncle Scott Porter, and I hope he's listening to this, but salute to him. He was pushing. He was pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing me to use my gift of rapping to glorify God. I thought Christian rap, all I knew at that time was DC Talk. Be real. I thought it was corny. To me that was rock and pop. It wasn't rap to me. And so we had this gospel land, I think it was, we finally got a gospel store in Cape Girardeau, and I happened to be, I finally embraced it at the age of 19. I started utilizing my gift of rapping for the Lord, and I was sincere about it. And at the same time, I started hosting a radio show that our church did, Joy in the Morning, and to get music, I would go to Gospel Land. They would have great tree artists there, Prime Minister, Little Rascal, all these different people, and coming from my background, listening to the Jay-Z's, the Nas's, the Snoop Dogg's, the Dog Pounds, the UGK's, the MJG's, and 8Balls. I wasn't finding anything that satisfied that craving and that quality of music that I was used to, but I was trying to make this transition. So in the process of trying to make that transition, he was pushing me. Like I said, I finally did it at 19. I started doing Christian hip hop, and my approach, and you remember when we first kicked up in like 01, 02, my approach is kind of was like where we at now was like that then. Yeah. I changed, and that's why I want to deal with it, because I was listening to the Prime Ministers, the great tree artists, really what they had decent music, but content they ain't have nothing, and they couldn't rap. And then you had I remember my first time really running into you for real was at Gospel Land, and you putting me on to Christology. Yeah. Cross Movement, and Ambassador, and he had content. I didn't care for the music, Yeah. So I kept going through these back and forth. It was like I was never satisfied until Lecrae's I think it was Real Talk. Was it real? What was it? What was Lecrae's
first album? Real Talk.
Real Talk. Lecrae kind of unified good content with good beats. But anyway, now and with the same person, Lecrae has broke through that proverbial wall. Yeah. He has smashed it down. Yes. The electric fence that we couldn't cross, Lecrae some kind of way leaped over it. And we're in like you said, a beautiful place, but we're in a defining place. We're what they call a defining moment. Yes, absolutely. And I'm wondering, are we, and there was a line that Mike Real, I'm going to use a line from Mike Real where I don't remember because I'm still fresh, but there is a clear divide, and we talk about this offline all the time, but we can talk about it here. There's two sides of the coin. It's one side, and it goes into our next point. Christian hip-hop or hip-hop with a Christian theme. Am I a Christian hip-hop artist, or am I just a hip-hop artist who happens to be a Christian? You know what I'm saying? Now, we got over the fence. We got into this forbidden land, this forbidden portion of hip hop. We're with the banner Christian hip hop. Unashamed, 116, Christ on my chest, ready to die. I go hard. You know what I'm saying? We break through the wall. Now that we have broken through the wall, no, I just do hip hop, bro. I don't want to be defined. I don't want to be isolated. I don't want to be limited to Christian hip hop. My music is for everyone. We're in a defining moment because this, and it's real to me, is something that we hear a lot of people talk about, but I don't think they're talking about it right. Like Mike said, Mike Real said, Ice Cube, they call him gangster rap. Lupe, that's conscious rap. but we the only group of rappers that gotta take away who they gotta stop claiming what they are to be accepted. That's basically what he's saying. We can't say we Christian rappers and be accepted, but they can say they gangster rappers, they can say they conscious rappers, they can say they this rapper, that, but we don't want to listen to you if you say you're a Christian rapper. Yeah. But you could be a 5%er, you could be a Muslim, you could be an Israelite, you could be whatever, you could be an atheist and proclaim that loud. But we can't. Now, don't say we a Christian rapper. I'm just a rapper. I don't want to be.
Don't want to offend. Don't want to offend. Don't want to offend.
Don't want to offend. So, my view of the Christian hip hop is we're at a defining moment. We're at a crossroad, and how we handle where we at can either promote us and push us even farther, or it can cause us to take some steps back. What do you think about that?
I totally understand where you come from, because
I'm wrestling with it, because I don't have no problem with you saying you're just a hip hop artist who happens to be a Christian.
Like I totally, I got, like, first off, much respect to Lecrae, man. I love what God is doing through Lecrae. I definitely believe God is using him, and I liken Lecrae to a modern day Apostle Paul, the modern day missionary. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the realest sense of the word, missionary to hip hop culture. And I definitely believe in what he's doing and everything. But on the flip side, I definitely can also agree. I feel where Mike Real coming from, because Mike Real coming from a place where I feel like for years was coming from. Where it's like, well, okay. My thing was this. Lecrae made a statement in like an interview where he said, like, when he first started really being known in the industry, in the mainstream industry, a lot of cats approached him like, so, hey man, you trying to convert us? Are you trying, basically they try to figure out, what was his aim with his music? Basically what they try to say, are you gonna be real preachy? Is what they really was getting at with his music. Which I could even argue that all music preaches a message. But I digress. But they basically, are you finna try to come and kill our vibe and condemn us all to hell? I guess it's pretty much what they was trying to ask. And he was like, basically let them know, no, that's not what he come to do. And it's not, and I'm not saying it's what he is. I'm not saying he's supposed to come do that. I'm not saying that anybody's supposed to come and try to condemn through the music or anything like that. That's never supposed to be the aim of Christian hip hop. And I don't think that's ever been the aim of most Christian hip hop artists. But it was what I guess the thing for me is that, and you pretty much hinted around this, is that when it comes to Christians who do rap, we kind of, to be accepted by the mainstream, we can't be heavy-handed with a message that is biblical or deals with with heavy Christian themes, or we can have Christian themes, but they can't be very heavy-handed. But a 50 Cent can be very heavy-handed about the streets. Jay-Z can be very heavy-handed about the dope game. Or Kanye can be very heavy-handed about ego and about his stardom, about how dope he is. Dipset can be very heavy-handed about, the dope game and that whole demographic. J. Cole can be, on his like his first couple out, he can be very heavy-handed about how he is with chicks. But the moment we heavy-handed with our message, it's a problem. It's an issue. We gone too far. You know what I'm saying? And so because of that, don't nobody want to hear us. There was a Christian artist by the name of Shaolin. Years ago, he was on a track where he said something to the effect. He said most cats say I don't like Christian rap. It's too preachy. Shaolin said I don't like secular rap. It's too preachy. He said they preach guns, they preach drugs, they preach sex, they preach skills. He said people should get refunds, but they go back for refills. And basically what he was trying to say is that mainstream hip hop preaches a message just like Christian hip hop preaches a message, or just like hip hop done by most Christians preaches a message. The thing is, the message that most mainstream hip hop preaches, the masses want. They support those doctrines. They support materialism. They support misogyny. They support get money, die trying. They support make it rain. They like those themes. Those themes don't infringe on somebody's.
It's safe. They don't feel it's safe.
It don't call nobody into account of their views. It is. It's safe and it's
what I meant was I got ahead of you. I was saying they want us to stay safe. They want us to come where they don't have to feel that conviction. They want to feel like they can listen to feel safe from conviction.
Yeah.
And
just to interject one last time, I believe that's a valid. There's some validity to that. I guess desire. I would say some people they want, and it's funny. They want Christians to be not as threatening, which is funny that Christians are threatening versus a gang rap. But they want us to be more approachable. And I can understand. I'll say this. I can understand that, Stab. But go ahead and elaborate on.
Well, I was just saying, like when you're talking about the secular, they want a safe message.
Yeah.
You could preach, you could rap about your God, but unlike the cross movements, which I don't, and this goes to my last question, but I ask that a little bit later. I don't necessarily think cross movement had the right approach. You see what I'm saying? Me and you used to go back and forth about.
Yeah, I highly disagreed with this. Yeah.
I feel like Lecrae. This is my thing. I feel like Lecrae has a great approach, but only Lecrae has put in the time, and not just Lecrae, but a few of the pioneers. Not even the pioneers, but the ones who are at the the leaders now, the faces now.
Yeah.
The Lecrae's, the Truths, I won't even say Andy Manio or none of them has. I won't even put them in this bracket. But Lecrae has done and paid his dues to be trusted. We always talk about this. I feel like Lecrae should have reached a place to where he has earned our trust, to trust him.
Absolutely.
And to know that as he make this transition, and he take us to a place that we have never been, he's accountable and trustworthy to handle it right. That's why I said we at a defining moment. But the thing is, which leads to my last question. Hip hop is one of the only genres that boot out their older artists. All right. And, hip hop is considered a young teen, young adult music. Like when you look at rock, you still got the Rolling Stones. You still got, I think it's U2. When you look at country music, you still got all the, the pioneers of some of the old
Garth Brooks, Travis Tritt.
Look at even traditional gospel. You still got Shirley Caesar doing her thing, and Hezekiah Walker. They ain't booting them out because Tri-Tribute is on the scene. Kurt Franklin ain't got to go nowhere because somebody else on the scene. Karen Clark don't have to go nowhere because Kiki Sheard is on the scene. But hip hop, and it's on both sides. No matter if you're talking from a Christian perspective to just a mainstream hip hop, they want to boot out the elder statements.
The older demographic.
The elder statements of it. They want to boot them out. And this was I got this thought from listening to Comeback Jack, but I was looking at how I look at a person like Thizzle, who was a little bit older than us. Well, maybe you and Thizzle might be the same age, but he's about a year older than me, year or two older than me. But he just now really hitting his stride now, and knowing Thizzle back in the day. Yeah. When we met Thizzle first with Due Season, when Thizzle was just a dude wearing a white tee, a straight, when he say he was a goon. Yeah. Thizzle seemed like a dude that
dude from the block, man.
Yeah, like he give me everything you got in your shoes and your socks. He had that, but I remember him sitting back. You know what I'm saying? When I remember that Thizzle to the Thizzle I see today. Yeah. I remember meeting Flame in a bathroom to the Flame I see today. I remember us opening up for JR to the JR we see today. Yeah. The Mike Real that we met at that concert to the Mike Real we see today. Yeah. And I think about us as artists then to the today. Yeah. Lecrae Real Talk to Lecrae today. Yeah. Anomaly, is that his name? Yeah, Anomaly. Yeah. Our message now, especially since we're carrying a gospel that needs to be presented in a light beyond, and I've come to respect what Cross Movement was, the standard that Cross Movement set, even though I thought it was too heavy-handed. I thought it was too, it wasn't personable. It wasn't relatable. But it was a good example, a good foundation to build from. They set a mark that kind of faded in the game when they Cross kind of went down, their fame kind of went down, that example went down, and you started getting some of everything, but the Lecrae's still represented quality music, but he at an age to where he's experienced things, he has studied to show himself approved. He has a seasoned word on his lips. He just don't have zeal with no knowledge. He has zeal with knowledge. Yeah. Now he understands I'm 116 even here, but I understand I gotta be approachable. I gotta be relatable. Yeah. And I believe, and this leads to my last question, it's the right age group, because we at this pinnacle, we at this crossroad, we at this defining moment, and Lecrae is leading the way. And Lecrae is an elder statement. Lecrae is 35 plus years old. Pretty soon, by all accounts, how hip hop is and how we're trained to be, we supposed to be. We done. I only got. I remember saying this to you about 3-4 years, but I can't even see myself rapping at 35. Now I'm 35. I'm like, I ain't trying to quit no time. And the Jay-Z's, the exception to the rule. but for the and the Nas, but for the most part, they pushed us out for the next voice, and I believe Lecrae has just found his voice. He has perfected his voice. He understands his mission, his mandate. Not to say he didn't understand it then, but his knowledge and his understanding has broadened. Now, I think he way more potent now.
Absolutely.
Than he would back then.
Yeah.
So now it's not the time to push him out. I think the truth is more potent now than he was back when we thought he was killing it with the faith and all that.
Yeah.
I think Fizzle is more potent now than even Chronicles and even the stuff before that. So why would we want to push them out for a new voice who hasn't really experienced nothing, who hasn't went through all those learning moments and those, what Christ said, I learned obedience through the things I suffered. Yeah. We've learned how to approach this thing by experience. And I believe, like I said, we had to define a moment, because I don't believe the ones who are looking at what Lecrae is doing, and I don't want to, first of all, let me understand, I ain't trying to say that, just because you're young, you ain't got a grasp of the gospel, but what I'm saying is, you see what Lecrae doing. Oh, well, I ain't a Christian rapper, I'm just a hip hop artist, but you haven't put in the work that Lecrae put in. You haven't earned that level of
you mean
trust.
Credibility?
Trust. We haven't learned that level of trust. I believe we can trust, and kind of, his accountability. I believe I can trust Lecrae. You see what I'm saying? These new artists coming on the scene, they want to run with what, I'm just a rapper. Don't limit me. Don't box me in.
Yeah.
You haven't earned that yet. Pay your dues first. Lecrae has paid his dues to be trusted with where he's going, and maybe everyone doesn't have the strength to walk the path he walking.
Absolutely.
In the circles he walking, the people he entertaining. Because I bet you some of these people got in Kendrick Lamar's presence, they will forget that they was Lecrae and was 116. They would get starstruck and lose grasp of who they are because they're young and impressionable. But Lecrae has been through all that, so that's where my mind is.
Yeah.
Go ahead, take it from there, man. I hope I set that up right.
Yeah, like basically from what I'm getting, what you're saying is that they're like somebody young, and coming out and Christian who want to do this rap thing. They see that Lecrae is doing it on a mainstream tip, to where they and he's experiencing amazing success. And I mean, once again, big ups to Lecrae. I mean, I love what guys doing through him. And so you got, because I believe me and you have seen this take place amongst some of the younger demographic.
Mm-hmm.
To where it's like now, they wanna throw off, any, I guess, affiliation with, like Christianity, and there's nothing necessarily wrong. Yeah, nothing wrong with it, because I mean it's like, if you want to just be a cat that's just doing hip hop, doing rap, and you happen to be Christian, that's dope. That's what's up. But I think to kind of explain where you coming from, Stan, what you're saying is that the thing is, okay, that's cool, but what's your motives?
That's what I was just going to say.
What's your motives behind it? Like, are you doing this because you just a cat that you just want to blow, and you want to be known, you want to be heard, and you want
the biggest audience possible?
Yeah, you just want to be this hot rapper that's got this humongous following, or are you really trying to get a message out because you're trying to impact people's lives?
Right.
You want to make a difference, and you want to bring change, and you want to put something positive and something that's gonna bring hope on the radio wave. You ain't trying You're not just trying to be another cat, another talking head that just fits the status quo. You talking about your chains, and you talking about your whip, and you talking about you talking about how hot your bars are. No, you actually trying to really bring a difference. You trying to
promote change.
You trying to make moves in the game. You trying to bring a shift to the game. Because like the thing is, like one of the sayings that Lecrae coined off his Anomaly album, the system didn't plan for this. Basically saying that, look, I'm not playing by the system's rules. I didn't come into the game to mimic the game, but I came into the game to bring something different, to offer something that the system wasn't necessarily asking for, and that the system didn't plan for. But here we are, and we making we on our own lane, and we gonna bring it to the game, and now the game gonna hear us out, and the game the game has made room for Lecrae, right? And that's what's up. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's an awesome thing. But like you said, you got a lot of younger cats now that they see what Lecrae doing, and I think a lot of them, you know, they didn't want to have a label anyway. It's like, so now they see what Lecrae doing. Good. Now I can just, I can be the next Lil Wayne. Lecrae ain't another Wayne. Lecrae is Lecrae. You know what I'm saying? Right. Andy Mineo is Andy Mineo. It's like, you got Andy Mineo, Lecrae, Gene. You know what I'm saying? These are cats that are out here that are in mainstream hip hop and making a difference. You know what I'm saying? They're doing their thing, and they not mimicking nobody else. They're not biting nobody else's style, but they being true to themselves. They're being true to their faith.
As far as Jen, is it Jen you said?
Yeah, Jen.
Jen was already there. He came from that environment. So it's understandable that even though he's doing, a Christian themed message, he still interact with where he came from. You know what I'm saying? But
I mean, he pulled away from it though for a while.
He pulled away. What I'm saying is, I can see him.
They could have been like, "Hey man, you fell off. Too bad."
Yeah. What I'm saying is, I can see him like where Lecrae, most of his career has been with a Christian
content,
whereas Jen came from Rough Riders, made a transition, but I'm pretty sure he still intermingled with Rough Rider audiences and circles like that because that's where he originally from. Even though he been a light to where he came from, where Lecrae, I ain't saying he ain't. No, he's the same, but his core audience were Christians. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying? Christian believers. It wasn't the world wasn't listening to Lecrae, whereas Jen had a world audience, a mass audience. So anyway, what you said about motives is what I was about to say right before you said it. The motive behind why some of these younger artists are embracing or trying to emulate what Lecrae done, they trying to do it without the understanding.
Yeah.
And the true
they don't understand. They don't understand
the
why.
mission work with that Lecrae is doing.
They don't understand why Lecrae's doing what he's doing. They don't even understand what he really is doing.
Right. They don't understand the mission work. He's doing mission work. He's going into the trenches doing the work. I remember when, and I don't know how people gonna look at this. I remember when Sho Baraka and all them, because he was real. If you want to be technical, Sho was the first one.
Yeah.
To make that trend, but he went a little bit more. He went harder with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And even he articulated how he may have not been wise in certain aspects of how he made his transition. Even with JR and other artists who, got more liberal and more laxed in certain areas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where they might have been strong enough, but others who were younger and more impressionable and wasn't as strong as them might have saw that and tried to emulate that, and that might have caused them to fall back into. You know, Lecrae ain't doing it at that level, but Lecrae is doing what I believe, and that what my heart always been. Like, I think me and you conversating back then, I always felt like we should be doing it like Lecrae is doing it now, where with a message that is provoking, engaging, and loving, and encouraging, and welcoming, while at the same time letting it be known our stances and our belief system. Yeah. That's how. But I changed because I felt like I had to, because of the cross movement and the banner that they was waving, and how hip hop was so. If you wasn't doing the cross movement, you wasn't rapping about. You wasn't doing it. And so I kind of altered my message.
Hey, Stan. Hey, let me just intervene just for a minute, just to put the audience up on.
Yeah.
Up on how things was. Like what's going on right now with Lecrae and Andy Mineo, my boy Staff D, back in like 06. We had a big conversation, big debate back and forth about, you know, where Christian hip hop, like where it should go and how it should be. And Staff had put it out there, man, like basically what you see Lecrae doing, what you see Andy Mineo doing, that's pretty much what Staff was saying. He was like, man, somebody gonna have come in a way where people can approach us, and people can relate to us. People can see that we dealing with real issues. We talking about real life, and it's not just the same subject matter over and over again. But we're really dealing with life issues from a Christian worldview.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, man, like Staff, what Staff was articulating back then, that's really what we see cats like Lecrae and them doing. You know, now mind you, Lecrae and them, they don't know us from Adam. So it wasn't we ain't trying to say that
we influence.
We put them up on get no. They don't know us from nobody. We ain't nobody. But it's just amazing to see where things have trended in these last like 3 years.
Right.
You know, and it's like I say, it's awesome to see how the game, see where things have expanded to. And like you said, Staff, you know, Show really was the first one to branch out to do this. He took a more revolutionary, militant stance, and I want to say kind of maybe had a more underground type approach.
Right.
Lecrae being more of a mainstream type of direction with his. But yeah, I mean, that's all I want to do for the people out there. I don't want to let y'all know that like Staff was really, he was adamant about doing what you see Lecrae and them doing. Staff was talking about us needing to be going that direction back in 06. When cats like me, I was trying to be more, you know, doctrinal, and I was trying to, you know, I wanted to be like the Cross Moves. I wanted to be like, you know, what Reach Records was on back then, and you know, I was wanting my album to be basically a whole sermon series in like 15 songs. That's what I was wanting. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to act like I still think something really wrong with it now. I still think that's dope. But at the same time, I realized though, I realized it can't just be that. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's dope what you know, what Lecrae and them is doing. Like my thing is right before Lecrae and them started going in that direction, my understanding started going in that direction also, because, you know, the same cats that really poured into Lecrae's in life, I started, you know, drinking from that stream of you know, of doctrinal teaching and theology as well. You know, the cats like, you know, the John Pipers, Mark Driscoll's, Dan Patrick's, you know, Matt Chandler's, those type of cats. I started listening to those type of cats and really hearing about, you know, what it meant to be a missionary to your community, a missionary to your city, a missionary to the context that God has you in. And listening to those type of cats, I begin to understand, you know, you have a broader understanding of what it means to make a difference and what it means to evangelize your context. And it means, you know, engaging your context and not having this us versus them mentality and stuff. But
right.
then I begin to see Lecrae live that out, and how he did his music and how he does everyday life. So when I saw Lecrae doing it, I totally understood where he was going with it, and totally understood what direction he was going in. So it didn't really catch me by surprise when I seen Lecrae and them going in that direction. I totally understood where it was coming from. But,
okay.
But go ahead, Stan.
Well, I was just gonna say, my push to go that direction didn't necessarily come from like what you was describing, you know, reading or listening to, you know, I guess a reformed approach. Mine was coming from tangible interaction.
Yeah.
Actually dealing with individuals who were intrigued by the gospel, but at the same time felt like they couldn't approach individuals like myself,
mm-hmm.
And have a comfortable conversation without being criticized and judged. And, you know, they can't be transparent and be themselves. And they felt like we as, you know, Christians and, you know, would be heavy-handed and stern and not real. That'd be relatable and real and honest about.
We come in with the SC on our chest, the super Christian on our
So it was a conversation I had with my young cousin, man, and he was saying how he loved listening to me, and I was heavily influencing him and other artists who had a more of a, like, I would show him Ambassador, or I show him the truth, and it wasn't just him, it was other individuals in the community that I hung with. They liked me. They liked, you know, what the Church Boys was doing and what I was doing. And they did, and I would try to bridge them to other artists who I thought were better than me, you know, who I felt had more doctrine approach to me, who can really articulate the gospel via 16 bars better than me. And they would listen and, no, I don't want to hear that. I ain't trying to hear all that, you know. But they want my stuff. And then my younger cousin Cameron kind of broke it down and why. We just have a case like, man, I feel what you're saying. I can relate to what you're saying. You talk about real life issues. I like what you mean. He's like, cuz you talk about stuff that I can actually relate to, situations and circumstances, going through pain and hardship or relationship and different things like that. I would, you know, he would talk about how, like, I had this song called Rain, and I was basically just articulating a hard period in my life and how praying and trusting in the Lord got me through that period in my life. It really touched him because he was going through some stuff. But when I would try to show him, like, the Ambassadors, where Ambassador really didn't deal personally. Most of what Ambassador dealt with was theology and a doctrinal approach to a biblical principle or a scriptural foundation he would use, and that would be his whole basis for his song. Cam didn't really want to flow with that because it didn't relate to him. You know, the gospel don't mean nothing if I don't know the gospel. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But if I can show you through life experience what the gospel is alluding to, how it plays out, and how it relates to you, then you're like, oh, so you telling me when I went through this and the Lord protected, even though I didn't know it was the Lord, now I see that was the Lord through you having a similar situation, and you giving the credit to the Lord being the reason why this went that way. He found relatability in that in a way that he couldn't just by hearing that scripture. And Lecrae started off like that because Lecrae was one of the first ones that I felt had that approach. But Lecrae has been Lecrae pretty much his whole career. He just was 116 and he pushed that. But to see Lecrae now, that transition is beautiful. But people got to understand Lecrae has put in the work to be trusted with that transition. I ain't saying you can't do what Lecrae did, but understand why Lecrae is doing what he's doing and what he's doing. Because when you get over here, you might have a total wrong motive and a mindset behind it, and you can fail in it. And that's my whole point. So I feel like we need more elder statements, older people to represent. And you need more doors. Like I look at Mike, Mike is, pushing late 20s, early, to his 30s. I remember that stage. I was a different rapper from the 20-year-old Staff D. I was entertaining way more. Like he married now, and you can hear it in Mind of Hollis. From the solid foundation to Mind of Hollis. But he's just now hitting the scene, but he's seasoned and he's grounded. And not to say he's not gonna grow even more, but it's a beautiful place to be and just now being introduced to the masses. I would love to be now being introduced to the masses rather than Staff D 22 years old. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I had the zeal, but I didn't have the knowledge. And so Lecrae got the knowledge, and that's why he's able to walk in the circles he's walking in. And he's literally walking on water. And so that's in one of his lines. So anyway, go ahead, man. We get down to the close of this thing, but you got any final things you want to say about that?
Man, just that like kind of going back to like the whole are we Christian hip hop artists or are we hip hop artists that are Christian? I always felt like it was both. Like I'll go back to an interview, or actually really what an interview was it was like a chat that oh man, what's his name? He's a part of the group. Corey Red. Corey Red. He did like this chat on online, and he was answering questions and stuff like that. And he posed a question. He was like, "Are we called to be holy hip hop, or are we called to be holy in hip hop?"
Mm-hmm.
And me, honestly, and I think what he was trying to raise debate with the ones who say we're supposed to be holy hip hop. But I always felt like well, to me, I always feel like it was both, because we are because the music that we do does represent Christ, and we do mess with a lot of biblical themes. The hip hop we do can be classified as holy hip hop, or Christian hip hop. But at the same time, if you want to just break it down, we are guys who are doing hip hop, and we supposed to walk in holiness while being in hip hop.
I agree with that. That's where I lean towards that one.
I feel like it's kind of both. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, with me, if somebody asks me, "Are you a Christian hip hop artist?" or are you an artist that does Christian hip hop? I would be inclined to say that it's whatever you want to call me. If you want to call me Christian hip hop artist, you can call me a Christian hip hop artist. If you want to call me a hip hop artist that does a hip hop artist that happens to be Christian, you can call me that. Because to me, I always thought that's when you call somebody a Christian hip hop artist. I thought that's what it communicated. A hip hop artist that's a Christian. I thought that's what that really means. Because when you like you said, if you call somebody a conscious rapper, you know, or they do conscious hip hop, basically saying that they're a hip hop artist that does conscious hip hop. Okay, if I'm a hip hop artist that does Christian music or that talks about Christian themes, I do Christian. Then wouldn't that be classified as Christian hip hop? You know, but you know.
Right. I'm like that. I'm like that with even the term Christian. You know, we haven't had this conversation. You know, am I a Christian or am I a believer that you term a Christian? You know, I do hip hop, and my message is of a Christian theme. So you can say it's Christian hip hop. Either way it goes, I do hip hop.
Yeah.
And what you're gonna get out of it is a biblical thing. And you know, Lupe does conscious hip hop, or he really just does hip hop that has a conscious theme. You know, Ice Cube does hip hop that has a gangster theme. So technically, you're right. It's both. It's however you want. Because to me, like with what you use with the holy, is it holy hip hop? Are we supposed to be holy hip hop? Or are we called to be holy in hip hop? The latter makes more logical sense.
The latter is a definite.
Yeah.
The latter is a definite.
Because hip hop, holy, like, is hip hop holy? Not necessarily. Do I try to be holy? Yes, I do. Do I do hip hop? Yes, I do. So I'm trying to be holy in hip hop. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is America holy? No, but I'm in America and I'm holy, so I'm trying to be holy in America. You know what I'm saying? So, because some things are not holy within themselves. You can't. To me, we're not separate from hip hop. We're a branch of it.
Yeah, exactly.
See what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
I totally agree.
It ain't like it's two trees and this is like twins. No, we one tree.
Yeah.
It's hip hop.
Just a branch.
And God engrafted a branch that might heal the whole tree. You know what I'm saying? That make any sense? That's an analogy I'm using. Yeah. But he engrafted us in.
Yeah, we'll get blasted for that. That's so arrogant, you know.
But I'm just saying, you know, we was put in to give for this genre to give him praise.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we doing. And everything's gonna give him praise. Hip hop got to give God praise, and we are the ones assigned to do that.
Yeah.
And so rock got to give him praise. Everything got to bow to God, no matter what it is. So
yeah.
But we are hip hop. We ain't separate from it. We are it, but we are holy while journeying through this hip hop culture.
Yeah.
You know, it's something and actually let me give credit where credit is due. My boy Trev came and preached a message at our church one time, and his topic was culture. And he don't know, he really enlightened me on culture. I knew culture, but not the way he dealt with it that night, and it still impacts me this day. You know, that was 5 years ago. So I just wanted to give you your dues on that, man. That was a very powerful message. So anyway, should we end it?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
I think we went 2 on this one.
Yeah, we did. It's gotten a little late, you know.
So,
but
anyway, man. Got any final words?
Man, for any young Christian cats out there that's listening to this, to get a better understanding of like the take that Lecrae is on, and a better understanding of his mindset and his motive, A book you should read is a book called Center Church, and it's by a guy named Tim Keller. Which I know you probably like. Well, what is a book about the church? It has to do with what Lecrae's doing. Trust me, it has a lot. It has a lot. It basically talks about how us as Christians, how we are to interact with the culture around us that we're in. And I see a lot of what Lecrae's doing. I see a lot of the themes of that in this book. And like I said, it's by a guy named Tim Keller, who is an amazing author, and also he's a pastor. But he has some very, very awesome books. But he wrote a book called Center Church, and for any Christian cats that want to be effective to reaching your context, whether you in the urban center, you in the city, or whether you in a small college town, or you in wherever you may be, this book is definitely worth a read. It's kind of academic in its approach, but it's good, man. Man, it's good. But yeah, that's just a little something. But for those who listen, for those that tune in, thanks for listening, man. We appreciate you. Subscribe.
Leave comments, man. That's something that y'all didn't do the last video. Leave comments.
Tell your
right.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends to tell their friends, and so forth and so on, man. I mean, we just trying to start a dialogue. I know for any cats out there that may not be rocking with in the church world, I know right now we may seem like we really be on this church stuff, man. We gonna hit all topics. You know what I'm saying? But with us being cats who are Christians, of course we gonna always come from a view that's informed by the Bible and by the scriptures and stuff. But we talk about issues that relate to church world and relate to the world at large. You know what I'm saying? But man, leave comments. Hey, right. If there's stuff y'all want to see us talk about and put it on. Hey man, put it on the comments, man. We want to hit everything, man. We want to address all types of topics, man. We want this to be.
Let me jump in on that. Leave us links to like some of the articles you read that you might want us to put into videos. Leave links to that stuff.
Yeah.
Leave comments and questions down in the comment, because we read that stuff, and then when we come to the next podcast, we dialogue about it and conversate about it. But yeah, share it with your friends, man. Facebook, Twitter, thumb us up, and allow your friends to know that you like this. And like I said, just continue to support us. It's just something we're trying to do to open up the floor of discussion for many different topics. Last week we talked about a few things. This week we talked about racial issues and are the church dealing with it. We dealing with the culture of Christian hip hop. We gonna be going many things. We gonna even get stuff that might seem uncomfortable. So, but we just trying to open up the floor to conversation, man. And so continue to like, subscribe. We got a few subscribers, but if you're listening, we had 80 listeners, so I know we could have had 80 subscribers. So go and hit that subscription button down there, man, and subscribe to our channel. If you don't have a YouTube channel, create you one, man, and then start following us and help us grow and get the word out of what we try to do over here on the Church Boy channel with this Thinking Out Loud, Dangerous Mind podcast, man. So this is Staff D, Stafford Moore, and my boy MENACE-TREE, Trevon Halford.
Yes.
We're about to sign out. Deuces.
Later.